Welcome to GRN, the Growth and Resilience Network, where every episode brings you targeted stories and strategies for professional and personal growth and resilience. I'm Steve Piscitelli, your host, coming to you from my world headquarters here in Atlantic Beach, Florida. Today's episode takes a look at resilience for children. How do our children develop into people who don't give up? Who learn how to overcome life's obstacles and learn habits of well-being, grit, integrity. When we discuss resilience for children, there are so many related topics and skill sets. Things like learning leadership skills, the value of an education, how to fight obesity, improving from within. In fact, it's difficult to discuss resilience without examining ways to lead yourself. Think about it. You can't truly lead another unless you know how to first lead yourself, which means you need to know yourself and then treat yourself with integrity. So how do we teach this to our children when so many adults, organizations, and communities come up short on their own resilience and well-being scales? Well, that's where our guest comes in today. Mr. Kirk Farber grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and the surrounding beaches area. He holds a 7th degree black belt. And he told me that part of the martial arts code of ethics calls for passing along knowledge. And that's exactly what this former IT professional has been doing since 2003 with his program, Face for Kids. And that's FACE, the number 4, Kids, Face for Kids. FACE is an acronym for Fitness and Character Education. The program in the 2015-2016 school year can be found in 18 public schools as well as several private schools. It's been in 40 schools in the Jacksonville area since the program's inception and has touched and affected, now get this folks, more than 25,000 students in both the FACE core program and in the general assemblies that Kirk leads for schools. In addition to his programming with the students, Kirk has developed the Teaching the Teacher curriculum. In that way, he continues to honor his code of ethics, passing along knowledge to the teachers, who can then pass it along to their students, who then can grow and one day pass it along as well. But rather than me talk about this powerful program, we're going to bring in Kurt right now to drill down. And also, so I don't forget to do this, if you go to their website, you will get so much powerful information as well as a lot of photos. And the website is very simply FACE, FACE 4, that's the number 4, kids, KIDS.org. So Kirk, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
I'm glad you're here. This is exciting. Kirk, like I do with a lot of my guests, we met beforehand and we discussed a little bit about what we would talk about today. The thing, folks, that I drew from that first meeting with Kirk about this program is his passion, and I think you're going to hear it in his voice today. He is powerfully passionate about what he's doing. So, Kirk, let me start with this. Before we get deeper into the specifics, or as a way of getting into the specifics of Face for Kids, let's start with a visit you made to the Duval County Jail, of all places, here in Jacksonville, Florida. I believe it was in 1997. And tell us a little bit about how that chance encounter had an impact on your life and led to the program that would become FACE.
Sure, Steve. Well, back in 97, I was a member of a North Florida Professional Speakers Association, and a friend of mine asked if anybody in the group wanted to come and speak to incarcerated 14 to 17-year-old boys who were in jail. Her grandson was in jail, and she wanted to initiate a Toastmasters program. So I, of course, went there, not knowing what I wanted to say or do. I just knew I was very good at edutainment, educating and entertaining boys, girls, whomever it may be, in terms of getting a positive message across. So I'll never forget jumping rope, and all of a sudden it hit me. I stopped and I said, your timing was bad. Make the most of your time. Get your GED. The focus was getting an education.
And you were doing this at the jail?
At the jail, 14 to 17-year-old incarcerated boys, a group of them. It was an 8-week program. And it was a wonderful experience because I got to give them mentorship information. And the common thread, after about 3 or 4 years of doing this program, the common thread without a doubt is they were missing a father figure or mentor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you went in, was it initially you were going in to teach them martial arts? Was that it? Or you were going in as a mentor in the jail?
Yeah, a mentor. It was really more of a Toastmasters program to get them to speak better, eye contact, be aware of the ahs and the ums. But at the same time, allowed myself to give some positive information. Myself and another athlete, so the boys really looked up to us. Almond Gunter, who's a track athlete. Myself was a martial artist. And Peggy Johnson was the Toastmaster. So the three of us had a program called Power, Polish, and Purpose.
Power,
Polish, and Purpose. I was the power.
Well, I think you've got polish and purpose now, so you got all three. You got the trifecta.
So the seed was planted from doing that. I knew I couldn't make a difference if they were already incarcerated and in jail, but if I thought of a preventive maintenance philosophy, if I could catch them earlier than later, and that's where the light bulb came on, try to go to the elementary schools and make a difference to those boys and girls who may need some mentorship in terms of keeping them on the right track.
Yeah, and that's powerful. And that reminds me of something that, on a personal note. When I first got out of college decades ago, I started working in the jail system. And after about 6 years, I had that same kind of a light bulb, and it was, I'm making a difference here, but I'd like to catch them beforehand.
Yeah,
and that led me into the classroom for the next 3.5 decades. So I understand. All right, let's, as I understand your curriculum for FACE, for kids, each of your meetings with the students is structured around what you call a FACE vignette.
Yes.
So can you give us a quick overview of the vignettes? Tell the listeners why and maybe even how you came to focus on those particular vignettes. Was it research, or was it Kirk's this instinctual, you knew it instinctually, this is what needs to be presented to the students?
Yeah, well, the vignette, the reason why it works so well, Steve, is keeping their interest. So if I kept each vignette 10 minutes long, when it's all over with, it's an hour program, the hour flies by. So the first vignette's the martial arts. I really focus more on balance, control, and focus. The second vignette are animal games like the frog, the monkey, the crab, the injured dog, and that focuses on agility, strength, and teamwork. We then do jumping rope, which of course is timing and cardio, juggling, which is hand and eye coordination and fun, and then my favorite part is the public speaking. Fitness is essential, yet character education is priceless.
And that's part of the public speaking piece.
Yeah,
that's
we speak
the theme
on
for
a
that.
different word each week, and then I speak about the word itself.
All right, so now if we're doing the martial arts, let's say, that's the vignette. With that, and you're with us, it's an 8-week curriculum generally. I understand you have some variations depending on audience. So if it's 8 weeks, is it an hour a session?
Yes, of course. I cater to the school. So if a school says, well, can we keep it within the resource time of 45 minutes? I say yes. If they have 50, but if it can be 45 minutes or more, that's ideal. I try to do the hour time slots. Several of the public schools right now, I have 2 of them where I'm doing 45 minutes to stay within their resource time.
And so if we're doing martial arts, balance, control, focus, is that one session, 145 to 60-minute session, or is it intermixed with the other 4 that you mentioned?
Yes, each one is approximately 10 minutes.
Okay, I got it.
With a couple minutes to start to remind them the word of the day, a couple minutes at the end to remind them the word for next week. We go over a poem each week called I Will Win.
And I remember, I think I saw this on your website, the word of the day. Then that becomes part of the lesson.
Yes.
So do I have this right, Kirk? And please correct me if I don't. Again, if we're with the martial arts and you got balance, control, focus, then is the martial arts that you're showing them, is that leading into or connected to the word of the day?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
So each week is a word. For example, if it's fun, they'll talk about what they like to do for fun, and then I get up, do what you love what you do, get an education. If the second week is friends, they'll talk about what makes a good friend, and they'll name 3 to 5 of their friends, and then I remind them, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. If you hang out with good people, good things will happen.
What's the primary age group?
Elementary, of course. I've gone from K through 5. 3 through 5 is ideal because of the public speaking and them reciting the poem. Right now, I'm in several schools where I have second and third graders, but third grade to fifth grade is the ideal scenario.
Okay. And middle school, much with that?
I've done several middle schools, Jeb Stuart Middle, Southside Middle, Mayport Middle. And what I find with them, I'd take out the animal games and I'd spend more time with the jump rope, juggling, and public speaking. So what's really nice with the FACE program is it can kind of be customized based on the student age. I've done high schools, which have been more like movement and martial arts with the internal arts and the jump rope and juggling as opposed to the animal games.
You know, I gotta share this because, and folks, if you're interested, I'm sure when you go to the website you could find this. But Kirk sends out a newsletter letting folks know what he's doing, and on a newsletter I recently got, in fact, I got it this morning, sample comments from the students. So I'm assuming this is before they come to you, and Kirk's asking, what do you want to improve in? So the student's saying, I want to improve in, and listen to this, controlling my temper, making good choices, not getting in fights, my attitude. I just read the first 4 and I thought of political debates, and maybe you should do a little tutoring there. Turn in my homework, confidence in speaking better, get an education, be a leader. That's pretty powerful, that the students are identifying this. And that's so critical in developing any kind of a program is they start buying into it.
Yes.
What's in it for me?
Yeah. For the first 10 years, it was really more testimonials, and the schools knew that the program worked, but I knew behind the scenes I needed to have data to prove it was working. So this year especially, I'm focusing on the data. So those were student surveys that they filled out, and then the teachers fill out a pre-survey and post-survey on each child too.
And you mentioned the data, and I was going to get to this a little later, but this is, I think, a perfect time to bring it in. You have something, and it's on your website again, so we don't overwhelm folks with statistics, but you have something called FACE Metrics. Just talk a little bit about that, because I guess that's saying this is more than anecdotal evidence. This is statistical data I can give.
Yes, most definitely. So I decided this year to set a goal to do at least 18 different Duval County public schools, and we have a couple of them up in the Philadelphia area also.
Really?
But with those 18 schools, I decided to do them all free as long as I could hold the school accountable. In the past, I always would hold the students accountable. They would graduate, they would earn awards, but they'd have to come to class. They'd have to, if they got in trouble, we'd have to speak about it. But I always could hold a student accountable. Now I'm holding the schools accountable by going with the school counselors, and they have the teachers fill out pre-surveys for each student. So in session 1, we had 6 schools. In session 2, we have 7 schools. Every school in the pre-survey to the post-survey, the scores improve. So there's 5 different categories that we're focusing on.
That's powerful.
Oh, extremely powerful.
Yeah. And you mentioned something else there. I see you around the beach, and I didn't think you were independently wealthy, and you said these are free for the school. So how do you afford this?
Well, I have a vision. Vision without action is a dream soon forgotten. So my vision is make a difference. And if I can make a difference for the schools, I know it's a matter of time before the grants will come in, because I am a 501c3. FACE Inc. is. We became a nonprofit back in 2010. The board, of course, selected me to be the executive director with my passion. And so I'm really focused on going after the public schools that really need this positive energy. I do some after-school programs which help subsidize the cost, and that way I can put that towards that. But it's all about making a difference.
Sure, and that's a passion again. I mean, it's and I think that's a lesson for everyone, no matter what we're doing, whether it's with kids or adults, or you're doing something in a cubicle someplace on your own. Do you make a difference? What do you do that makes a difference in this world around us, in your space? That's powerful. Now, if folks wanted to know a little bit about your funding or donations even, can they get that on your website, faceforkids.org?
I try to have everything on the website.
Okay.
I like to think of it as a one-stop place, whether you're trying to look for information like a letter of determination for those nonprofit people out there, they know what I'm talking about, or you're looking for photos or testimonials or especially the data metrics, everything is on the website.
Cool. Very cool. You've been doing this now for, I guess we're going into the 13th, 14th
Yep.
year of this. What's been your biggest surprise, positive or negative, or both, if you want to?
Well, let me give you a combination of the yin and the yang. In terms of the positive, it's probably seeing how much they improve through a mentorship, that the kids just soak up the energy. When you give them information about self-respect, being a leader, getting an education, and they're learning all of these abilities of jumping rope and juggling and coordination and agility, it's a wonderful thing to see them improve. On the flip side of the coin, after being in over 40 schools, I'm amazed, yet understand how much the school counselors have to do in terms of the students, whether it be anger, medication, family issues. So many different things are going on within the school. So the school counselors I know are overwhelmed, and I try to come in and make a difference for the students who are hand-selected by the school. So I'm receiving participants who may have anger issues, obesity issues, self-esteem issues, a death in the family, on and on and on.
Did I think I saw this, or maybe you told me this. Is obesity prevention becoming something that you're targeting more lately, or is it still just a piece of the whole program?
Yeah, it's still a piece. I mean, several years ago, of course, it was the buzzword with the fitness and the whole thing about obesity, and it still is an issue. But to me, what's more important is the character education. If we really want to make a difference for the youth, we have to get them to see the glass half full, not half empty. We have to get them to respect not only others, but more important is respect themselves when it comes to bullying, verbal bullying, online bullying, and things like that. We have to get them to feel confident in themselves.
Do you talk about the bullying in your program, or about bullying?
I do, but it's really more through a subliminal process. So I talk more about respecting yourself. So if someone's saying something to you don't like, if you respect yourself, that's more important than you saying something back. On the fourth week, the word is called responsibility. So they'll talk about their chores, and then when I stand up, I talk about responsibility, the ability to respond, to speak up when something bad happens, or to control your actions or emotions if you hear something you don't like.
And I would think that's powerful because so many schools have or at least there are schools that have anti-bullying programs. So your message connected with that message, the students are getting it in from different sources, different perspectives. That has to make a difference.
Yeah, and especially on the 8th week in the public schools, they have a graduation. So the family members come, the administrators come, the entire school may come to watch the graduation or selected grades. So here are these boys that at one time were considered, and girls were considered maybe the troublemakers in the school. Now all of a sudden they're the leaders in the school because they're earning these awards, which show them that they've made a difference through discipline and focus.
And folks, if you go to the faceforkids.org site, you'll see photos. I mean, there are multiple pages of photos, and it's really cool to see action shots. As long as they're also holding up a certificate. It's really powerful stuff. The mentoring piece. Just what's your view when it comes to mentoring? What are the characteristics that you look for in effective mentors, and what do students look for or children look for in mentors?
Well, eye contact, to be able to look right at them and say something positive, to be able to get a message across where they can look up to myself if I'm trying to teach them something. So instead of just telling them what to do, I'll show them what to do. When it comes to jumping rope, for example, usually the first day they don't want to jump rope so much because it looks like homework or it looks like, oh, this is hard. But I show them a thing called a figure eight, and a staggering figure eight and a double figure eight. And they're just, wow, when can we learn that? And so I teach them the word where if they do what I want them to do, then they can do what they want them to do, the word being compromise. So I try to bring in these words that may make more sense not only in school, but really out of school when they're back at home. That
is really cool. That's very, very cool. Again, you've been doing this for a while, more than a decade. Biggest lesson you have learned doing this?
That everyone can make a difference. Do what you love what you do. If you have a passion, whatever the passion may be, put your mind and heart into it, and you can make a difference by helping others, whomever it may be. It may be someone who's 7 years old or 70 years old. But if we get people to understand about respect, get them to understand about being a leader, get them to understand about having an education, it truly can make a difference.
Talk a little bit about this teacher-to-teacher program you're doing.
Sure. I started a couple years ago. I had this vision, of course, way back when, in order to sustain the program, I could only split myself up into so many pieces. I mean, I am my identical twin, but
and he is. He is an identical twin.
I am an identical twin. But so what I did is I hired someone who does these type of things like franchise manuals, but this was called a Teach the Teacher manual. So I didn't want to franchise it as opposed to going in, training the teachers who can then continue the program. So through my program this year, as I mentioned, I'll go to the schools as long as they sign up, being held accountable to sit in at least 50% of the classes. Then they come to a training where I give them an operations manual, and then they start their own program. I don't make them do that, but I try to urge if they want to. I provide all the supplies. Again, that's where I'm hoping the grants may come through. So I supply the jump ropes and the juggling balls, and then all the graduation awards like the T-shirts and the jump ropes and the diplomas. But through the training, they can continue. So right now there's 3 schools that are starting the program. I've already started the program, and it's going over really well. So, for example, at Seabreeze Elementary, the counselor there, school counselor, is teaching 10 to 12 girls. Well, I'm teaching 10 to 12 boys. So we're like doubling the group of kids, and I'm there throughout the entire school year. And so is she doing the same thing.
Now, earlier you mentioned something about doing something in the Philadelphia area or Pennsylvania?
Yeah, right outside of Philly, called Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Have you done that, or you're about to go up there, or?
No, we started in 2012.
Okay.
So a friend of mine started the program. He's been teaching 32 classes a school year, so it's 4 different 8-week sessions for the last 3 years up in Barclay Elementary.
As somebody's listening to this podcast today, and they say, "Wow, this is powerful. I'd like to have my school involved in it," but we don't live in Jacksonville. Now, obviously, you've got this thing going in Pennsylvania. Are you mobile?
Yes. Not only am I mobile, but what's even better is I'm internet mobile. So what I mean by that is I have an intranet, coming from an IT background. So the intranet allows the counselors or teachers to sign on through a login, and then they can see all the videos, walk through each vignette along with the students doing the vignette. Okay. So we filmed that probably 4 or 5 months ago. So we have maybe at least 20 to 30 videos up online, along with all the documentation, the login sheets, the permission forms, everything possibly that's needed for the program put together on the internet.
So someone can do this. They don't have you physically there, but you could walk them through this in the intranet, the backside of your website, basically.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So whether I would travel, and my ideal scenario would be traveling and doing a number of schools, like in the district.
Makes sense.
And then teach the district schools that are interested, be there for support, and then not only have the online support, the operations manual support, but also the verbal support at any time.
Well, that would sound like a powerful way as a school year kickoff for a district. I mean, where, you have Face for Kids in, and you're starting the students on this very positive program, which is physical fitness, emotional fitness, character fitness. That is powerful. Folks, pay attention. Go to the website. Kirk's ready to come down and see you wherever you are. But I think that's really powerful with the videos. That takes I mean, that's not easy to do. That takes a lot of planning and to do it well.
And if I could put one more plug in. So during the months of November to March, anyone that's north of Georgia, you're more than welcome to come down to Florida. It's sunny Florida. It would be a nice vacation. You'd have fun. You'd learn the FACE program and go back with a big smile on your face.
Okay, so you'd be able to teach somebody coming in from wherever. You could teach, if I was doing this one-on-one, you would teach me this program?
Yeah, we had a full day programming back in December from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Got it all done in a full pack day. And then 3 more days of online training if they want to go online, so they could see really even more details. But the 1 day is sufficient, and then all the videos, of course.
When you're saying that, Kirk, what I'm hearing is that you basically have created a little mini conference, And I mean, really, folks, come on down, and visit our Atlantic Beach. We would love to show off our beautiful community down here. So listen, before we wrap it up, and we give our folks a call to action. I mean, we have covered the metrics, we've covered the vignettes, we've covered the teacher to teacher. I always give my guests the opportunity that, is there one thing, based on how we've been talking today and what we've covered, is there one thing that you want to cover that I have failed to give you an opening to cover, or that you want to go back to and say, I'd like to just reemphasize this before we get into our call to action?
Well, you mentioned the Teach the Teacher program, where every public school gets to implement FACE for free and then sustain the program with the accountability, the metrics, and the training from each school. But if I had to give one bit of advice, it would be very simply stay healthy, both physically and mentally, with a focus on the glass half full. Make a difference in someone's life, because each and every one of us can.
And for those and that's interesting, because that really ties into the call to action. Yes. I think is because there are many of us listening to this. We might not work with elementary school children or middle school or at risk. What you're saying, though, is look at your own life and what can you do that is healthy physically, emotionally, mentally, and then you're focusing on this positive attitude.
Yes, I do a lot of talks during the summertime for Rotary clubs and civic organizations, and usually the topic is making a difference. That's my key there. And when I talk to these groups, and though I may be doing a presentation and sharing the FACE program, the focus is on each and every one in the room can make a difference somehow and what they enjoy. So stay focused on what they enjoy and see what they could do to help others.
Isn't that, that's powerful. I was just reading a book this week, in fact, and the author had said that when he's an entrepreneur, but he said, well, when I choose projects, he says there has to be a hell yeah factor in it. He says I have to listen to it, what it's going to be, or read about it, get an email, get a phone call, and I have to feel deep in my heart, hell yeah, I want to do that. He said otherwise it's hell no. And I just love that. It's just you go into something, you're passionate about it, and you're starting off with that hell yeah, as opposed to, well, okay, maybe. No. And again, if you ever meet Kirk, you will see that there is that hell yeah attitude that he does. And so, Kirk, I appreciate you being here today. This has been a lot of fun. And it juices me in so many ways, too, because of what you're doing for our community, for our children. And it goes beyond that. It's not just that.
Yes. And
we need more Kirk Farbers in the world. So, folks, don't forget, go to the website. That's FACE, 4, KIDS.org, faceforkids.org. And while at the website, you can find ways to sponsor, be a part of the program. And again, maybe come down or contact Kirk about getting some training, one-on-one. And like I said, he doesn't call it a mini conference, I don't believe, but that's what I was hearing. It's like a little mini conference. And I want to thank you, the listeners, because without you, there's no Growth and Resilience Network. Visit my website, stevepiscitelli.com, for more information about upcoming conversations on the GRN and about my programs and other resources for your personal growth and resilience. And while at my website, I made it very easy for you to sign up for my email and newsletter list, and I do promise never to spam you. Never. So until we meet again, either virtually or somewhere in person around this great nation, this is Steve Piscitelli from my world headquarters here in Atlantic Beach, Florida, reminding all of us to choose well, live well, and be well. Bye-bye, folks.